Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. Before we officially kick this off, I do want to point out to the audience that we welcome questions. Please post them down in the Q&A section at the bottom of your screen, and we'll address those questions at the end of today's discussion. So I'd like to now turn this over to Stephen Saltstein, Force Family Office's CEO.
Thank you, Kelly, and thank you everyone for joining us today. XSponse's story is a bad news, good news story in the sense that the company was born out of tragedy. Unfortunately, on a weekly basis, you're constantly hearing about, continuous tragic events that are happening either at schools or office buildings or parks, etc. And the good news is that through modern technology, AI, just kind of the genius of what Lee Mandel brings to the table, we really have a working solution now that seems to be getting traction and is beginning to get adopted by all these institutions that need it. So, Lee, if you don't mind, just to begin with, because you have a great background in security and entrepreneurship. Just give us a minute on yourself, just so everyone can understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, sure, Steve. I really appreciate it. So my background, I've been in the security space since 2004. I had a prior company that I began in 2004 focused around school safety and security. And we were what one of XSponse customers are today. We were a security integrator. So I got to learn from a security integrator's perspective what some of the challenges are related to deploying school safety, security, technology. And again, it's more than just schools. It's really any mass gathering or public establishment. I had sold that company to a private equity firm in 2019, stayed on during the transition. And then post that, I began to come up with more ideas. And here we are today with XSponse. But my background's been as an entrepreneur, a designer, developer, hardware, software. And that was the prior business that we had. And XSponse is really the continuation and the addition of all the things we wish we can do as an integrator, but now we know what integrators are looking for. And we've been able to build a product suite, a software suite of offering, and really an entire ecosystem that's focused around the software. Everything we do is focused around our Guardian platform that brings all this technology together. So really excited to be here. Thank you.
Ryan, if you don't mind, just kind of give us 30 seconds on yourself. I can never apologize enough for your loss, or just saying that I am sorry. But tell us how you got involved in the company, and from your perspective, what the mission is.
I appreciate that, Steve. And I've been in the security industry for a number of years. I ran product and innovation at ADT. Prior to the tragedy at Marjory Stoneman Douglas, where my daughter was killed in 2018. Met Lee Mandel shortly after that, and was more impressed is not the right word. I'm not sure I have the right word to say, but I was grateful that he and others jumped in to try to figure out if there was a way to solve these or prevent these or mitigate the harm that we see in these school attacks. And Lee had a number of really great ideas. And I was so grateful that last year I got a call, from Lee and saying, "Hey, I've got another idea. I've got some more, actually more than one idea, but I got more ideas. And I think we can come at this from a different angle." And as I learned more about Lee's vision for XSponse, I wanted to be a part of this. I have avoided joining any particular company because I wanted to have an independent voice in trying to advocate for improved school safety. But this idea is so good, and I think there's so many lives that can be saved and so much tragedy that could be prevented. That I immediately said, yes, how can I help? And of course, I've got product management experience in both software and the security space. And so I've joined XSponse, jumped in with both feet as the chief product officer, and very, very grateful to be a part of what I think is the best solution out there for preventing these tragedies from happening.
What do you think is fundamentally broken, rather than just outdated with existing security solutions?
Look, every single one of these tragedies has a similar story. It's a lack of accountability and a lot, just a failure to imagine that something like this could happen, right? And so that leads to apathy and a lack of preparation. What we're proposing with XSponse is, hey, we've got a solution that enables and empowers your entire school staff to be able to alert when there's an issue, regardless of what the issue is. It could be a health emergency, it could be an active shooter, it could just be a disciplinary issue in a classroom. What the current tools that are available to in the classroom is to go up and push the button at the front of the class and call the office and whatever. Those just don't work. Or fumbling for a cell phone in a time when you're facing an active shooter. That's just not a workable solution. So what we do is when we empower the school staff to be able to keep that environment safe, it's great. Parents love this because they know their kids are going to a school that takes school safety seriously and has put the mechanism in place to not only do something about it, but to hold everyone accountable for the safety in that school. And that's what that's another one of the things I love about the mission here at XSponse.
So Lee, I'll just use the word invent, but just what did you invent here that's different than the traditional systems?
So traditional systems are so segregated, they're pieced together, they don't communicate with each other. And, when seconds matter and seconds are truly going to save lives in an active shooter or emergency situation, you want these systems to conversely communicate with each other, talk to each other, work with each other. And that's really what we've done. We brought all these different subsystems from audio communication, video communication, text communication, digital displays. We brought it all together into one common operating picture that gives first responders, eyes on the scene immediately, gives communication capabilities, ability to release doors, open doors, close doors. But, what we've also done is we've made this technology where it's used on a day-to-day basis. So we're not just waiting for the big day when something happens, God forbid, to remember you have to pull out that cell phone, whip out the checklist and say, what do I do first, second, and third? We're integrating this technology into the day-to-day use cases of all our environments that we work with. Whether it's a hotel, whether it's a movie theater, or whether it's a school, they're using this technology for public address, for announcements, for communication, for digital displays, so that when the big day, God forbid, happens, which we hope never happens, they have that muscle memory knowing how this technology works. It's not the first time they're utilizing it.
So talk to me about the first 30 seconds of an incident. What would the legacy systems traditionally do, and what exactly can you implement with XSponse?
So it's great that you asked that question that way, because when you talk about 30 seconds is a lifetime when it comes to an active shooter situation. It truly is a lifetime. And with the technology that's out today, there's a lot of companies that out there talk about that their technology is quick to respond, but some of these systems take 30 to 45 seconds just when you hit the button to communicate with the cloud, go back to the prem, and then communicate with all the devices and the first responders. The events are over in that amount of time, and people are losing their lives. So with our technology, it's literally instant. Within a second to a second and a half, all the systems activate. We do that by creating a proprietary component that we call our communication platform server. We call it our Guardian platform, that sits on the premise, communicates with all the local devices, but also communicates with the cloud. So we have that layer of redundancy. And we do have patents on all the technology, which is super important for us, and many that are being filed or pending as well right now. But it gives us that capability of integrating everything together so that during a true event, when seconds truly matter and seconds will save lives, we respond in milliseconds. It's just instant.
AI is such an overused word or acronym these days, but how are you guys leveraging and utilizing AI for this system?
So it's a great question. So AI, everyone uses the word AI out there. It's a buzzword now. We truly use AI, and we have a built-in neural network that learns the environment within our ecosystem. Whether it comes to the deployment, AI is so big in the deployment process. We're able to group devices together and automatically self-deploy them. All our devices have built-in sensors, whether it's occupancy, air, detection, and we're ingesting all of that data constantly into the ecosystem. And as the system grows, we're able to analyze that data and make adjustments accordingly. Give you a perfect example, our Shield device, which goes in a lot of classrooms, has multiple sensors for humidity, temperature, vaping, AQI, methane, different gases and whatnot. And a lot of systems that are out in the field today, you can't really properly calibrate them. But we've actually had one of our systems deployed for several months where we actually have it learning the environment, and we've made several adjustments. And the customer literally told us that that device is giving more accurate temperature readings than their $500,000 VAV system in the ceiling of the school. And that's how we're able to do that utilizing AI. And also things like reaction. How do we react to an event, and what devices do we trip? You know, another use of AI is if someone has one of our wearable devices and they're in a classroom and they go to activate that device, we're not just going to hit a predetermined device and have it turn on. We're going to know where they are, and we're going to call for help from the device that's nearest to the person. So we have that capability that we're testing right now. I just hung up with a client a few moments ago where they were just shocked how quickly we were able to deploy within minutes. Yesterday, the dealer ran the wires. Today, they plugged it in, and it literally was plug and play. And that's due to the AI technology that we have that self-deploys everything automatically.
What about the systems that are already in there? Do they have to be ripped out?
Now, that's the nice thing. We layer on top of the existing technology. So again, our technology doesn't replace what's there. It works with everything that's in effect. So if they have existing door locking, existing cameras, we are not a camera company. We're not a door locking company. We're the brains that brings it all together. So we're able to sit on top, put everything into our common operating picture, and make everything work seamlessly with each other and more efficiently as well.
You know, it's funny. My whole friend circle is talking about the movie Marty Supreme. Like, everyone either loves it or hates it, but everybody wants to see it. But I've heard from several people that they're afraid to go to movie theaters. And I'm just curious, which environments? Is it school? Is it healthcare? Is it movie theaters? Are you seeing the fastest adoption?
So I'll give you a couple examples. So in the schools, naturally, the technology is tremendous for active shooter prevention, for communication on a day-to-day basis. But a movie theater is a perfect example of an automated response. Putting audible and visual displays, having wearables on the staff. So we're seeing a lot of increase from that sector. In the hotel sector is probably our biggest increase right now. I didn't realize how big of an issue vaping was in hotels. Believe it or not, it costs thousands of dollars to clean a hotel bed when there's a vaping incident that occurs. So we've actually developed our technology that can automatically detect vaping. And I won't let too many of the cats out of the bag yet, but we have a new offering that's going to be coming out for hotels, a multi-million dollar recurring revenue offering that's going to be a revenue generator for our hotel partners. So we're working on that. Also, in actual hospitals, a huge environment as well. I didn't realize how big of a challenge hospitals were having with harassment and staff harassment. So we're actually having on nurses where they're wearing our wearable. We can track where they need help. We can also translate all different multi-languages automatically on the fly. And just back to the hotels, there's mandates now going into place in several states for wearable technology to actually have panic buttons on the staff. Me and Ryan were just at a conference a few weeks ago in California, and we asked the hotel if they're in compliance. They said, we think we are. We have this little badge that's on our keychain that in case we need help, we push it. We said, well, what happens? So she goes, oh, let me show you. So she hit the button first. It didn't work. And she goes, oh, the battery must be dead. And then she grabbed another keychain. She hit it and makes a loud piercing noise. I said, oh, this is great. So what does it do? She goes, oh, it makes a noise. So I said, so does it call anyone? Do they know where you need help? Or do they assume that you're going to hear this piercing noise through the wall and someone's going to come to your rescue? She goes, yeah, it's a good point. We don't really do anything with it. So this is what's going on around the world, and this is the challenge that we solve for. When people ask, how do you solve for X? This is the example right there.
How do you balance real-time awareness with privacy concerns, like especially in a sensitive environment like schools?
Yeah, so privacy is a big thing, obviously. We've dealt with some of the biggest teachers' unions around the country where they've presented to us the challenges of privacy. So we're actually the first technology, and we do have a patent pending on this, where we've delivered cameras in the classrooms. And when I say that, everyone steps back and says, how are you putting cameras in the classroom? No union's going to go for that. Well, what we've done is we've developed a patented shutter that opens and closes mechanically on our devices that go in the classrooms. So you can optionally turn it on or turn it off just the way you would on any other device. Even the cameras we're using on our computers today don't have that mechanical shutter. Yeah, I can shut my camera off, turn my camera on, but I'm still going to have the risk that someone hacks into that and sees it. So like, for example, I'll just flip this down here. I have a physical cover that goes over my camera on my webcam. And that's what we've done, except we've made it mechanical for the schools. So it automatically opens and closes. And when we get asked about privacy and people tell us, you know, are you tracking us? Are you opening the camera? Could it go on? We tell people everyone has one of these phones. And we don't call this a camera, although it has multiple cameras on it. We call this a phone. And phones, the teachers have their phones on them. So we don't call our displays in the classrooms, our shield as we call it, we don't call it a camera. It's an emergency response device that has a camera in it, much like a phone that has a camera. So we've gotten over the privacy concerns, and people see the value in being able to give first responders eyes on the scene. And we consider it literally like putting a first responder in every classroom. Who would say no to that?
So I want to take a step forward. What does the market look like? Meaning, like, what's the total addressable market here? How are you looking at that universe?
So we can pull up some stats, and I may have Ryan pull them up just to give you some numbers, but there's hundreds and hundreds of thousands of opportunities out there. You know, we're focusing primarily, like I said, on a couple of the key tabs that we have the biggest reach right now, which is hospitality. And then obviously the public sector, you know, schools, local businesses and whatnot. And then another area is quick serve restaurants. And I'd say the fourth is our, hospital and, healthcare environments. But really, there's nowhere that this stops. I mean, it can go anywhere. It's any mass gathering establishment, but those are the tabs that we're focused on because they're so similar and there's a lot of overlap. And the technology, when you're selling into one, you're selling into all of them. It's the same sales pitch over and over again with a slightly different twist.
When you're who are you selling into? Who's the economic decision maker?
That's a great question. So we are a manufacturer, so we do not sell our software and hardware technology to the end users. Everything goes through dealers and distribution channels. Currently, we have a national distribution network of around 80 distributors and dealers around the country. They have to get certified and go through scrutiny with us on making sure they're the right fit to represent the product. But they're typically pushing out into the schools. For example, they'll work with the security directors, the facility directors, the technology directors in all of these environments and all these different tabs. But additionally, what we've had a lot of success with is partnering with law enforcement. We actually recently just launched our LED, our law enforcement division of XSponse, that's led by several retired chiefs of police who have relationships around the globe. And, we're working with law enforcement to say, look, this is the technology. We would love to give it to you so that your constituents have the opportunity to utilize it. And when the first responders see that they're able to do things that they weren't able to do before, they become our biggest sales force because they want this because ultimately they're tasked with one mission, keeping the public safe and saving lives. And our technology gives them the tools to do that quicker and better.
I'm curious. I understand from the fire and police pension funds that the LAPD is kind of like the law enforcement test kitchen around the country. Is that accurate? Like, if the LAPD blesses it, then basically everyone would adopt it?
Well, I think that's everywhere. I mean, in New York, you can say it's with the NYPD. I think it's really state by state. I wouldn't say there's any one authority. What we found is, when we work with a local area, we're doing a big project in Texas right now. When we meet with law enforcement there, they see it working in one environment and they say, wow, we want to put this in more environments. Or in New York and Long Island, we have several projects underway. When law enforcement sees that, they get excited about it. So we're working with some big projects right now. I can't say too much about coming soon on the federal level, but on the state and local level, it's really independent decision makers. Obviously, it would look great for our technology to be out there with some of the large players like the LAs and the New York Cities and the federal level, which we're working on right now and pretty close on a few of them, actually. But, each individual agency kind of makes their own decisions on what they want to do and how they want to do it.
I know Andrew's on your board, and he's, I'm I'm just curious. So is that giving you a leg up for some of these opportunities? Has
I think we give ourselves a leg up, naturally. Andy has a lot of relationships, knows a lot of people, but the technology sells itself. We were just in DC a few weeks ago. That's actually I saw you in DC, Steve, and we met with the White House, we met with the Department of Justice, we met with Homeland Security folks, we met all over the place with every realm, both to talk about how we can help schools and other public organizations get funding, but also how we can donate a piece of our technology on a federal level to be able to get this access to as many first responders as possible. So the response has been incredible. The support has been incredible. And the feedback that we've gotten is just second to none. I mean, and that's really been the big value that Andy's been able to bring to us is giving us the ability to meet with these folks, to get their ear, to listen to them, and kind of get an idea. But the tech sells itself; it really does.
what do you see as like? How would you define success for XSponse in the next 3 to 5 years?
So the true success, me, Andy, and Ryan's mission is really to save lives. So success for me is truly hearing success stories from our end users about how our technology has prevented a situation or worst case scenario during a situation was used and saved lives. That to me is the ultimate success, and that's truly our mission. On a financial level, obviously, we want to see the growth and we want to see the exposure. We want to see the year over year revenue numbers. Again, when you look at this, the company was launched formally to the public January of 2025. We didn't even have our first products out till June of 2025. So technically, we're 6 months into having product out, and we already have a backlog we can't even keep up with. We had a manufacturing facility for our hardware in Pennsylvania. We had to take on a second facility in Long Island because we can't even keep up with it. Our suppliers can't keep up with it. Again, that's really the true sign of success when you have more people who want the product get it to quick enough, and they're willing to wait because they know how incredible it is and they've never seen anything like it. Like I alluded to before, Ryan, I'll speak to you after this call. I just hung up with the superintendent of schools who got this technology for the first time. And he said, Lee, he goes, this is a dream. He goes, this is what I've been dreaming about ever since the active shooters started happening since Columbine. And what you've created here has given me the ability to keep dreaming and take my dreams and make them reality with the click of a button. And that's really what we're all about, taking these ideas and, fantasies of how we can control these situations and making them reality. So that's truly the measure of success for the company.
Ryan, I just remind me, you were the CTO of ADT?
I was VP of Product and Innovation.
What do you think that the incumbents consistently underestimate about this problem?
Well, I think the incumbents haven't really got an idea how to solve this. I mean, we certainly were aware of active shooters at ADT, and when we merged with we had a commercial offering. We merged with another commercial company. Didn't really have a platform to respond to these things. And so to Lee's point, what we saw back then and what we still see in the market today is a fragmented solution. You've got door lock companies selling their thing. You got video companies selling their thing. You've got student information systems companies selling their thing. Nobody's talking together. What it takes is a coordinated response. When there is an issue, whatever that issue is, people need that. You talked about this, Steve, earlier. The first 30 seconds, what people need is information. They need to know what to do quickly, and that's what XSponse can do. And that's why we use AI to provide the alerts. We can provide alerts in multiple languages, so we can get people the information they need so that they can be safe, and we can get law enforcement the information they need to come in and or for any first responder for that matter, and treat casualties if there are any, or and most importantly, stop the active shooter event immediately. So I know we focus a lot on active shooter, and Lee's talked a lot about the day-to-day integration that we do with the systems at the school, and that's what's so fun to see. It's a system, it's a platform that's keeping the students and staff safe at these schools, but it's also something they can use on a day-to-day basis. And I'm 100% with Lee. I love the mission is about saving lives. And I will say if every school in America had the XSponse system in place, our schools would no longer be targets.
Right. Leah, I'm just curious. I mean, you had that conversation with the school superintendent. What aspect of what XSponse is offering got him so excited?
Just seeing that there's so many systems out there that are so dependent on the network infrastructure and the connectivity and making sure everything works together, and seeing in minutes how everything worked together. We answered all his concerns with how the technology is redundant, how it ties together, how there's failover, how there's backup. With one click of a button, he saw it all. And it was minutes, simple deployment, didn't cost hundreds of thousands of dollars, didn't take years to figure out. It was click, point, and activate. That's all it was about. And that's what they're looking for. They're looking for simplicity. We found that the security, especially in schools and any agency now, used to be handled by facilities. We see it more and more now being handled less by facilities and more by technology. So having something that lives on, breathes on the technology network is really what this technology is all about and what he was so intrigued by.
Great. Fantastic. There's a bunch of audience questions, so I'm going to let Callie take it away.
Great. Thank you
Thanks,
so
Callie.
much. Sure. How defensible is your technology stack? What prevents a large incumbent or well-funded startup from replicating your ecosystem?
That's a really great question, and I consider a really good answer. So what we've created has been in years of the making. This is stuff that we've been working on behind the scenes. My partner John founded XSponse several years ago and created patents for a lot of this technology a while back. What we've done could take someone years to try to replicate and duplicate, because took all this different technology, merged it together, and we have patents on a lot of the way these devices communicate. So we're not just using traditional cameras or card access or fire alarm or burglar alarm. The way these devices communicate, without getting too much proprietary talk, is very, very unique. The protocols that they're used to communicate. Think of the Ring doorbell or the Nest thermostat. Those technologies were deployed many, many years ago. People try to duplicate them, but the communication platform that Ring has used is what made them so attractive to Amazon. And if you think about missing an opportunity, for everyone on this call and everyone else, just look about back in the day on Shark Tank. They turned down that opportunity to take Ring, and look where Amazon took it. So we consider ourselves the Ring doorbell, the Nest thermostat of this high-end security sector, this communication sector, because of the protocols and technologies that we have that a lot of people have not even thought about doing. And for ones who have, don't have the resources, the wherewithal, and now the patents that are protected by it.
Thank you. How resilient is your platform to outages or network failures? What redundancy exists at the device and cloud levels?
So I'll give you an answer with an example. So it's pretty interesting when you think about this. The technology that we find out there right now, and there's so much out there, relies heavily on the cloud. We did not want our technology to be a cloud-only platform, so we created a platform that's a hybrid. So everything lives locally on the prem, but also communicates with the cloud. So we have that redundancy and we have that backup. Everything lives on the network. It's not plugged into individual power. We actually live right on the network, so it's all tied to the local area network, and communication on the local area network. So typically, most networks that are out there today are secured with either battery backups, UPSs, or generators, and we follow that same protocol that lives on all the other critical infrastructure, whether it be lighting, temperature, security, fire, burglar alarm. So we keep that same level of redundancy and security on that network as well, which is great.
Lee, I would just add to that too. We think of this very much like the fire safety systems that are in place. So that's the approach we take. A lot of our competitors take a very I'll call it lackadaisical approach to their architecture. Our architecture, we think of this as it's a life safety system. We think of it very much like a fire safety system. So we've built in the redundancy that Lee talked about.
Thank you. What types of data does XSponse ingest? Video, location, biometric, etc. And how do you correlate them across devices?
A great question. So all of our devices give us different data points, and the end user, has control of that data as well. if they do want to share or don't share. We obviously make it very valuable for them to share that data with us because we're able to make analytical adjustments automatically on the fly. Most of the biometric data that we consume is based off the sensors, and between all the devices, there's over 56 different sensors that we monitor. Everything from temperature to occupancy. We even have different communication platforms that communicate back and forth that we're able to analyze usage cases, how long people touch devices, stay in front of devices, hit buttons on devices. We also have the capability of bringing in video. One of our next releases, we're actually going to be giving the ability to locally store video on the devices as well as send it to a video management system so we can perform analytics on that video, whether it's weapons detection, gunshot detection, things like that. So all that data does come in, we manage it, and regardless of which device or which location it's on, it all comes back to the hub, goes back to the controller, and then goes to the Guardian cloud. So we're able to analyze that data amongst multiple customers and consume it as opposed to just individual sites.
And then how do you manage false positives versus missed events? And what measurable improvements have you achieved over time?
That's a great question. So with my old company, we had problems all the time with false alarms, whether it's a vendor that was working in the ceiling of the school and accidentally cut a wire, or potentially scenarios where a kid thinks he's being smart and hits the panic button like they used to pull the fire alarm buttons. And I've experienced this real time, and it's scary. I was just with my niece who graduated from high school last year, and she told me back in the day when my old system was in place, they had a kid that hit the button, and the tragedy that it caused in the school. I mean, the PTSD from the students thinking there was an active shooter in the school is tremendous. So when we developed XSponse, we said, how can we avoid those situations? So we put so many checks and balances in place. On the mobile app, for example, we can control how long you have to hit the button, where you physically are at a geolocation, so you can't do it from a false location. With our wearables, we have the same capabilities. And with our Shield device, we actually have a cover that goes over it, and it literally takes a snapshot of who hits that button. We had an example when we launched in a school recently. A special needs student lifted that cover and it took his picture right on the screen and said, warning, you're about to put the school into lockdown. False lockdowns will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. And he stopped right there and did not lift not hit that button down any further. On our panic buttons, we also have covers that are over it as well. So all different capabilities. We have 2 form factor authentication on many of our devices where you can require a PIN code or swiping a card built within our devices. So I hate to say we've thought of it all, but we've really thought of a tremendous amount of different ways to avoid those false positives.
Yeah.
Thank you. And someone had asked a question here. What are your thoughts on drones patrolling the schools, and foreseeing imminent danger?
Yeah, so there's a couple companies out there who are doing that. We've actually been approached by several of them. One of them is a big national player that we're going to be doing an integration with, actually. So I at first was skeptical personally about that technology because the concerns were what happened if a door is closed and they can't get in. But when I look back at it, any tool that can deter the active shooter and speed up the response time is a tool that I'm behind and going to stand behind. So we are definitely excited about the future of drones if they're used properly and excited to integrate our technology because imagine if our technology can feed live data to the drone operators or automated to let them know where to respond and how to get there. I mean, you just save minutes, not just seconds, and that's what we're looking to do. So we're fully supportive of working with that.
Thank you. Are you able to share an example where XSponse delivered a measurable ROI or risk reduction for a customer?
Oh, tremendous. We have a school district that was our first deployment back in June of last year. Seems like yesterday, but it really was. We deployed it and they were planning on replacing their entire public address system that had end of life. And they got proposals from multiple bids. It was all public. And I think some of the prices range from $1.5 million, $2 million district wide, and even higher than that. And all they were doing was replacing a PA system. We were able to do a lot more than that through our dealer, replace their PA system with a brand new communication platform that gave them audio, video, and everything, plus an emergency response system for a fraction of that price. I mean, significant savings, probably almost half the price to give them all those additional capabilities. And they love the concept that they were able to purchase it or go on a recurring revenue platform with us, which is what most of the schools are doing now, on an ARR style platform where they can own the technology or lease the technology or purchase it as a hardware and software as a service combination. So when they saw that, they said, this is a no-brainer, let's rock and roll. And we see that happening all the time, back and forth now.
Yeah, in fact, hot off the presses, Lee, one of our deployments that we're doing in Texas that you mentioned earlier, they came to us as we're deploying and said, "Hey, we're looking at PA replacement. Would you guys be able to help us with that?" And absolutely, as Lee just said, we can provide a more economical and advanced PA system than what they were planning to put in, saving them. It's going to save them tens of thousands of dollars.
Great. Lee, are you looking for the same exit here as your old company, or do you foresee something else, IPO, etc.?
That's a great question and a hard one to answer. Right now we're in full growth mode, to be honest with you. We're going so quick we can't even think about exit, entrance, IPO, APO, any POs. We just want the purchase orders, the POs. That's what we're looking at right now. But no, in all seriousness, we're gonna go as far as we can go and take this thing as far as we can take it. The interest is phenomenal right now. The level of concern out there in the market for needing a product like this is serious. So we're going to keep growing as far as we can go. As part of our capital raise right now, we're not just looking for bringing in someone on a Series A who has some money behind them. We're looking for someone with experience, someone who can help us grow, someone who can help us get to the next level and help us make some of those critical decisions. So we're truly looking for a partner or partners, and that's why we come to Force, and that's what we're ultimately looking for.
And then the last question is, talk about the raise. How much are you raising, and where does that get you, and what are the use of proceeds?
So when we started this process, everything was friends and family based, and we had a very, very quick raise with friends and family. We got the money in relatively quick to get started, to build the products. So this is not a startup where we're looking to raise this money to build the products and come up with this crazy idea that we have and prove that it will work. We're looking for the funds to actually grow the organization, build our sales team, build our sales force, our marketing team, and really help us get to all the customers quickly. Because at the challenge that we have now in the mode that we're in right now is we have this tremendous amount of demand and we can't keep up with it. So truly, that's what the funds are going to be used for. Right now, our Series A is somewhere between the 10 and $15 million range. Again, it depends on really the right person, the right fit. That's really what we're looking for. As we continue to grow and continue to get purchase orders, that number of need goes down because we're becoming more self-sufficient. But the key with the raise is to get to the market as quick as we can and get that exposure as quick as we can. With some of these national initiatives that once we're under NDA with some of the investors, we can talk more in detail about that. But with this national initiative, we got to get ahead of this as quick as possible, because once we go out publicly on the federal and national level, which we anticipate happening fairly soon, the demand's going to be unsustainable. So we need to really prepare for that now, both from a manufacturing, from a software development standpoint, but more so from a sales and customer service standpoint.
Great. Well, thank you very much. And thank you to the audience for the great questions. I do want to point out to the audience, if you have additional questions or would like to be connected to XSponse, everyone out there has my email address. I'm happy to facilitate that introduction. In turn, XSponse will have all of your information and will be reaching out as well. Lee and Ryan, I'm going to turn it back over to you for final words before we close out today.
Ryan, you want to start?
Sure. Well, look, first of all, Happy New Year to everyone out there, and thank you for taking the time to come to this webinar. Look, XSponse is on a mission to protect our nation's schools and other public places, and we've got a unique technology. Our software pulls everything together into a platform that gives people the information they need to stay safe, and gives law enforcement and first responders the information they need to protect and save lives. And I'm excited to be a part of this, and I'm looking forward to trying to keep up with where we're headed in 2026.
Thanks to that, Ryan. And I'll just add, after I sold my old company, I was approached by tons of startup companies, tons of technology companies to make an investment. And for me, the investment criteria in several investments I made is, obviously, is there going to be a return on my investment, but is the mission something I can get behind? And I can tell you this mission is the most important mission. The number one things that we want to protect is our children and people in general. And what we're doing with this technology, what we've created here with Ryan and Andy's support and everyone on the team is not just about generating revenue. It's literally about saving lives. And, I don't know who can't get behind that mission. So again, if you're trying to figure out where you want to make your investments in 2026, obviously a great return on your investment will exist here at XSponse, but it's also something that you can put your head on the pillow at night and say, wow, I'm making a difference. And that's truly what we're here for and what this is all about. And we hope we can welcome some of you, if not all of you, to our family very soon. So thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, everyone. And thank you, Lee and Ryan, and have a great day.